Chargers are in a really good place right now. Their defense is playing at a high level. They have a solid running game. And Herbert is really starting to connect with some of these weapons, including Ladd McConkey. It would be asking a lot for the Titans to go on the road after an overtime game and go beat the Chargers the way they're playing. I don't see it happening.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Finish Strong Friday. We are presented by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. Most of you know that. Anybody that's new, welcome to the family. Love having you here. In fact, the diehards are all patrons. Patreon.com/RTmedia. They become Tuckheads members so that they can chat with each other on our private Slack channel and chat with me and chat with Jack, by the way. Patreon.com/RTmedia, and see the picks on the Bets on College Draft podcast, on Even Money podcast, my food review. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with being a part of the Patreon.com/RTmedia. Fridays, here's what we do. It's a Picks Friday. I give you my picks for every other game other than last night's game. I give you the winners, the people that went the extra mile this week to support the show in any way. And then it's a Finish Strong Friday because it's very important to me that I feel good about what I did this week on all of the podcasts, Even Money Betting, College Draft, which is college football and college football betting, Fantasy Feast, of course, fantasy football. And I'm a big believer that all of those other shows are terrific for you guys to be able to learn about football from a different way. And then I'll feel good about it all week long. We got to get to all the games. I'll give you my larceny lock. I'll do the winners at the end of the show today. So if you have a chance to be a winner, make sure you're still listening at the end. Other than that, let's start with last night's game. It's going to be the big show. It's the Thursday night recap, and it's presented by Labatt Blue Light. You guys know how I feel about glorious Labatt Blue Light. I did not have Labatt Blue Light during the game because they didn't have it on the plane, but you can drink some Labatt Blue Lights this weekend with your friends and live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. It's big show time.
The Big Show.
Thursday night football was absolutely one of the games of the year. Here's what you need to know. Joe Burrow was incredible. Jamar Chase had one of the best games by a wide receiver I've ever seen. The Bengals were up by 2 touchdowns, and they still lost the game because in the fourth quarter, Lamar Jackson went crazy. He had this incredible tightrope down the sideline. Tylan Wallace did as well, as quite frankly, the Bengals defense fell apart late. The Bengals tied it or could have tied it, but they went for 2. I appreciate them going for 2. Ultimately, some questionable officiating, which is disappointing. The Bengals didn't get it. They lose another heartbreaker to the Ravens. Hey, so this Smirnoff contest is ending soon. I've been telling you guys about it the last couple weeks. It's WeDoGameDays.com. It ends November 15th. They're giving fans in select areas of the country a chance to win the ultimate game day experience, tickets, sideline passes, much more. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please not share with anyone in a legal drinking age. No purchase necessary. 21 plus and 11/15/24. See rules at website for participating area and other important details. Sponsored by Diageo Americas Incorporated, New York, New York. Here's the deal. There's no I in football. It's a we thing. You experience it together. Good drinks, good folks. That's my friends at Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka, an official vodka partner of the NFL. WeDoGameDays.com. WeDoGameDays.com.
Once To know which team is going to win every single game on Sunday? Then listen up.
All right, Ross, we got our first game. We're overseas with the Giants, technically at the Carolina Panthers.
You always say technically at the team when it's Germany, which it's like, to me, it's technically not. But the way I would describe it is Carolina is considered the home team, or Carolina is losing the home game. Honestly, with the way they've played this year, with the way their season's gone, it's probably a good thing. That although they just came off a home win, so they actually had a chance, and now they're playing the Giants. They actually had a chance to stack some momentum and win back-to-back home games. That's not going to happen, but that would have actually, can you imagine Bryce Young in front of the home crowd winning back-to-back games? Bryce Young, so here's the deal. Both these teams more or less have to announce who their quarterback is every week. If you're ever in that situation, that's when you know things aren't going real well, right? When like every week Brian Daboll is like, Daniel Jones is still the starter. Or you'll have Dave Canales saying, I don't know who's starting yet. Anytime you're in that situation, probably not the greatest situation, right? Probably not where you want to be as a team. You're probably not doing real well if that's what we're talking about. I think the Giants are the better team. I think they're better on defense than the Panthers are. I don't know. Offensively, they're kind of about the same, which is not good for the Giants. I'll take the Giants to win the game just because they're better. I don't know. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points. So how about 17-16 Giants? Something like that. 17-16 Giants get their third victory of the year. This is more of a Power Rankings Tuesday topic, but really curious to see what the fallout from this season will be for the Giants.
Got to battle the rookie quarterbacks, the Patriots. They're at the Bears.
I'm really looking forward to this one. I mean, I think all of us, anytime rookie quarterbacks go head-to-head, it's fun to watch. And of course, even though we shouldn't really judge any player on a one-game scenario, and certainly not rookies and young players, that's exactly what everybody's going to be doing during this game, right? I mean, the whole game, people are going to be commenting on Drake May versus Caleb Williams, kind of like they did Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels, which, by the way, it's kind of hard to argue, right? Like, are there Bears fans arguing that Caleb Williams is playing better or is better than Jaden Daniels? I would find that hard to believe. I think that's a tough, very tough argument to make at this point. You just can't. But the crazier argument is that the way Drake May's been playing, I don't know, the Bears have a much better group around Caleb Williams than the Patriots have around Drake May, which makes Drake May playing pretty decently impressive. I don't think the Bears will lose this. They needed this badly. After those two losses in a row, they needed a get-right game, which is essentially exactly what this is against New England. I think the Bears kind of shake off this two-game losing streak, shake off the Hail Maryland, and they get a win. I don't think there's a ton of points. You know, the Bears' defense is good, and I just don't think the Bears' offense is clicking all that great right now. How about 23-16? Or maybe I'll go 20-14 Bears.
Next, the Buffalo Bills. They're at the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm going to go with the Bills. You know, I do think the Colts are going to surprise people in this one. I think they're going to have a bounce-back performance on offense that people are not expecting, but they're going to have it because everything was so bad Sunday night. Listen, that was the first start for Flacco since he was named the starter on the road against a really good Vikings defense. They didn't play well. You know, Jonathan Taylor's fumbling handoffs, whatever. I think that the Colts will play much better against the Bills. I think this actually ends up becoming a decently higher scoring game. This, in fact, Jack, to me will be similar to Bills-Dolphins this past Sunday. I think it's like that. Let's go. I'm still going to take the Bills. I just have more faith, and I say this a lot, but more faith late in the game in a guy like Flacco. I mean, I should say a guy like Josh Allen to make the critical plays, especially because he can do it with his legs. But I think this is an awesome game. I think it's 24-23 Bills. Really fun, cool, back and forth game that could go either way.
Got the Cam Robinson revenge game. The Vikings, they're headed to Jacksonville.
I mean, I guess he could have some revenge because he has to pay more in-state income tax now in Minnesota than he was paying in Florida. Other than that, though, he went from a really bad team that's not going anywhere to a really good team that has a chance to make a playoff run. So I don't think he's got that much revenge on his mind. This is always interesting, though. This is really tight because it's only been like 10 days. But I once, Jack, started for the Cowboys against Washington, I want to say a month after Washington had cut me. It's weird. I mean, those guys have been my teammates for a year and a half. I knew them, we were in the locker room and practice with them and sit in the cafeteria with them. And then next thing you know, I'm playing against them in an NFL game on Thanksgiving, no less. And they all know me and I know them and we're playing for keeps. And it's kind of a weird situation, but I guess you're a little bit used to it from practice, but still kind of weird. So for Cam Robinson, I said this on yesterday's show. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. He said earlier in the week he's doing everything he can to try to be ready to go, but they had to sign Beathard off the Dolphins practice squad just to make sure. That doesn't sound good. I mean, even if Lawrence plays, I don't think the Vikings are the right team with Flores and his blitz scheme to be banged up. Give me Minnesota to rack up another win with Darnold and the guys. 24-17 Vikings.
Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs. They are hosting the Denver Broncos in a divisional battle.
Wow, this spread has really changed. I look at the spread because I want to know if I'm doing any upsets or also for my lock of the week. I kind of know who the lock of the week is, but it's interesting to check out real quick. When we did this on the Even Money podcast, Jack, I took Denver +9 for 2 units. That game has now come down to Denver +7.5, which means, by the way, the Chiefs are a heck of a teaser leg if you're into that thing, down to -1.5 because they'll win because that's seemingly what the Chiefs always do. But I think short week for the Chiefs, overtime game against Denver that just got humbled and embarrassed. I think this will be a good game. I think it'll be a competitive game. I think it'll be a typical one-score win for the Chiefs. I think it's like 24-20, Kansas City. So good game.
Next up, we got another divisional matchup, this time in the NFC South with the Falcons and the Saints.
Oh, when the Saints come marching in. Oh, when the Saints come marching in with Darren Rizzi as a quarterback. Is that a Saints jersey, Jack?
No, it's Pitt. LaShawn McCoy Pitt.
How do you have a Pitt? Oh, LaShawn McCoy?
Yeah, it's LaShawn McCoy Pitt jersey.
If you don't mind me asking, how much does something like that cost?
Oh, I don't know. I got this for Christmas in high school. But they're usually Nike, this type of jersey now. It's the standard Nike Eagles jersey, NFL jersey. It's 120.
120. So when you were in high school, LaShawn McCoy was good for the Eagles. So you asked for it, or your parents got you the Pitt jersey?
Yeah, I just wanted it because it was cool. I mean, by the time I was in high school, LaShawn
He might already been with the Bills.
He was with the Bills. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, he got traded to the Bills when I was in middle school.
Got it. So, all right. I like the Falcons. Now, the Saints are getting the new coach boost, and so that's something to keep an eye on. And it's Derek Carr's second game back, so I do think the Saints have a real chance here. Plus, I feel like the Falcons have already had a letdown game or two earlier this year, so it wouldn't surprise me if they had another one. But I'm going to take the Falcons. Look, I always say the picks I make on the show are like what I would tell my best friend or my friends, my family, if they were betting on the game. And I would still take the Falcons. But I think it's a close one. I think it's 27-24 Atlanta.
Next up, we have the 49ers. They're at the Bucks.
Sounds like they might be getting McCaffrey back. That's not good for the Bucks. Jawan Jennings back, maybe. Also not good for the Bucks. The Niners are getting the band back together. Nick Bosa's happy with the direction of the country, so he's excited. There's a lot of things going on here. Bucks, short week, overtime. That is no bueno. Give me the Niners. This is when the Niners run starts. Mark my words. Niners 27, Bucks 17. Niners win by 10.
I think if you told somebody this matchup a year ago, they wouldn't think it was be exciting as it is. But Steelers, they're at the Commanders.
Huge game. Awesome game. Imagine telling someone a year ago, Jaden Daniels and the 7-2 Commanders against Russell Wilson and the 6-2 Steelers. I don't think anybody would have been saying that. It's awesome, though. Two, fan bases that certainly deserve it. I like the Commanders in the game. I think it'll be a good game. I think the Commanders are a little bit better. They get the Marshawn Lattimore boost, if you will. Although the Steelers, they got Preston Smith and Mike Williams, so they weren't messing around themselves. Cool game. Could go either way. Let's call it, let's say 20-17 Commanders. I think the Steelers defense is pretty good. So it feels like a coin flip game either way. 20-17 Commanders. I'm very, very tempted to take the Steelers. In fact, you know what? I'm changing my mind, Jack. Off the bye, I'm taking the Steelers to get this done. I think they do a good job corralling Jaden Daniels. Let's get an upset pick. The same score, but the opposite way. 20-17 Pittsburgh.
Got a 1961 AFL Championship rematch. The Titans, they're at the Chargers.
Titans-Chargers. Well, the Titans are not a good team, and I think the Chargers actually are a pretty darn good team. So I made this my Larceny Lock of the Week, presented by Larceny Weeded Bourbon. Lock in a win and seize tonight. Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume. Think wisely, drink wisely. Chargers are in a really good place right now. Their defense is playing at a high level. They have a solid running game, and Herbert is really starting to connect with some of these weapons, including Ladd McConkey. It would be asking a lot for the Titans to go on the road after an overtime game and go beat the Chargers the way they're playing. I don't see it happening. Let's say 24-13. Chargers win another one, this time by 11.
I feel like we're going to skip past. You usually make a comment about my interesting factoids, but we're just going to skip past it. We got the Jets. They're at the Cardinals.
So wait, in 61, it was Chargers and Titans. So it was the Oilers. And Chargers?
Yeah.
I didn't even know the Chargers were around in 61.
Oh, yeah. They were part of the NFL.
I didn't know when the Chargers started.
That Oilers team was loaded. They had George Blanda.
Oh my gosh. It's you know what? It's cool. It really is cool that you know your history like that. George Blanda. Oh my gosh. George Blanda stopped playing before I was born, let alone you.
I mean, I just know. Yeah, sorry, go for it.
Now, Jets, Cardinals. I like, this is a tough one. I'm going with the Cardinals because they're playing at home and because they've been more consistent than the Jets. This feels like an absolutely true toss-up game to me that could go either way. And I mean, there's a reason why the spread is the Jets are favored by 1, but Cardinals at home. Cardinals have kind of found their groove now. Plus, the Cardinals are really good in these close one-scoring games. It feels like the Cardinals win all of those. So I'll expect that trend to continue. Fun game, close game. This is another one. How about 23-20? Another game-winning field goal from my Eastern PA boy, Chad Ryland. 23-20 Cardinals.
The Philadelphia Eagles, they are at the Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys? So Dak is out. Cooper Rush time. And I understand why, because Mike McCarthy knows he can win some games with Cooper Rush, and he's trying to win as many as possible to keep his job. I would just say, like, it feels unlikely McCarthy's going to keep his job almost regardless. Like, what would McCarthy have to do? This is the last year of his contract. What would he have to do to get them to keep him? I just don't see that happening. I don't see that being the case. If I was the Cowboys organization, I think I'd rather kind of see what you have in Trey Lance. But they already just gave Dak that contract, so he's their guy long term. They like, evidently, Cooper Rush as a backup, so trade Trey Lance to somebody else. I wish they would have done it earlier. I wish Trey Lance went to some other team and had a chance to play in some games. I just want to see him play in some games. At any rate, Eagles can't afford to have one of those, hey, we're playing against a backup quarterback letdown. That definitely is a thing that happens sometimes when teams are playing against backup quarterbacks. It's, even if it's a huge rival like the Cowboys, I don't know if it's conscious or subconscious or what, Jack, but it just seems like they don't play as well. That said, looks like A.J. Brown's okay for the Eagles. Looks like they're getting Dallas Goedert back, which is helpful. I think I saw someone tweet, this is the third straight year where Dallas Goedert is coming back from injury on the road in Dallas. Like, what are the odds of that has worked out like that? I like the Eagles to win the game. I do think it will be a competitive game. I do not see the Eagles blowing them out right now. I think it's probably 24-16, 24-20 Birds.
Another exciting game this week for the Detroit Lions. This time they're at Houston facing the Texans.
And the Texans are wearing their battle reds. How do you feel about the battle reds, Jack? You're a big uniform guy.
I like it. I think it's always unique when the teams have implement the mascot into the helmet like the Eagles do, and you see college with Oregon. So I think having the horn, I think that's sweet. I really like what the Texans did with their uniforms across the board.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I can't pick the Texans to win the game. Watching them, they're actually pretty fortunate. They've won 6 games or whatever. I think 6-5. I think it's 6. Yeah, they are 6-3. They're struggling a little bit. I mean, the good thing they got going for them is their defense. Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson. That's keeping them in games. But you watch them on the offensive side of the ball. It's a good thing they can run it pretty well with Joe Mixon, because C.J. Stroud is always under pressure, always getting hit, it seems. It's not good. Not good at all. I like the Lions to get this win very, very much. The Texans are going to have to prove it to me, especially with Nico Collins banged up, and the Lions are an absolute juggernaut right now. Fun game, Sunday night. Looking forward to it for sure. I will take the Lions to win this game. And this feels like in that same kind of realm. How about 24-21 Detroit?
And we'll wrap things up with primetime. The Dolphins, they are at the Los Angeles Rams on Monday night.
Primetime. Well, listen, the Dolphins did not trade anybody at the trade deadline, right? So some of these other teams that are not good, the Raiders have had trades, the Patriots have had trades, the Browns had multiple trades, the Titans have had trades, the Browns, the Jaguars have had trades. The Dolphins are the only 2-win team to basically say, nope, we like what we got. We still think we have a chance. And I guess I respect that. It's a long haul. I mean, it's an uphill climb for them for sure at this point. It's interesting, though, because the Rams are only favored by 1 point. It feels like this game could go either way. My issue is I do think it'll be a close game. The Rams have found a way, it seems like, to win a lot of these close games, and that's not the case with the Dolphins. Now, is it a law of averages thing where the Dolphins have just lost back-to-back close games and they're due to win a close game, and the Rams are due to lose one, or not? Call it a feeling. I don't know. I think this is like the last-ditch effort for the Dolphins. I think they win the game. I think, are they underdog? Yeah, 1 point, but they're underdogs. So a third one, underdog. I'm taking the Dolphins to get this win. I think it's 27-24. I think it's a fun back and forth game with Tua and Stafford, but I like the Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins get the win. Love that. Love those of you that go the extra mile to support the show, like James Eimer. He sent me an email of his review of the Fantasy Feast podcast. That counts. You rate and review any show on Apple Podcasts, forward it to me, ross@rosstucker.com. That counts. So, James, send me an email, another one, this time with your address. If you have a preferred press pass, you can send it to me. I can't promise anything, but ross@rosstucker.com. The same with Andrew Shute, who he went ahead and he sent me a picture of him drinking Larceny bourbon. That's like the second one in the last couple of weeks. Larceny bourbon. You guys are either you're already drinking it or me talking about Larceny bourbon has pushed you guys over the edge. So congratulations to you, Andrew. Again, email me, ross@rosstucker.com. And then the YouTube shout out goes to DanJ7 on youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL. He liked the Ray Davis interview and made a comment about it on YouTube. So what you get, Dan J, is you email me, ross@rosstucker.com, with who you want a video shout out for. I'll do a video on my phone and email it to you, unless you'd rather have like a signed Bills press pass or something because you're probably a Bills fan. I can do that for you as well. Other than that, I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. You know how I feel about it. It's the greatest ever. Backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.